What up? What up? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let's get people in here, man. Shout out to you guys, man. Feels like I hadn't seen you in a minute. Happy Monday to everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. Let's get people in. We got a action-packed show here today. Killer Mike dropped an album on Friday. Ye and Ty Dolla $ign actually dropped their project as well. And there's some more new music to even talk about as well. Drake having a comeback. That was something that came through my timeline. I know he has some new things going on, but first things first. I got to applaud Killer Mike for this dope album. Killer Mike dropped a dope album. What up, DJ Bruce Almighty? Shout out to you in the building. He dropped a dope album, I must say. And sonically, I actually like this project a little bit better than I like the Michael album. Now, granted, you guys know that I'm not a huge No ID fan. No ID produced the other album, Michael. But this album, Michael and the Mighty Midnight Revival, Songs for Sinners and Saints. This came from a different kind of chakra. I think that from a production standpoint, Killer Mike was going for something a little bit more gritty. And I think he was going for something that people identify with his personality a little bit more. Shout out to Tech Beats, man. I actually interned with Tech Beats over there in radio way back in the day. He produced a couple of tracks on here. I didn't even know that until before I started the show, because I was like, you know what, let me check the production credits on here and see, what's different from the previous album. Yes, I think this album surpassed expectations. It still leaves me with some questions in regards to Killer Mike, and I think I'm gonna get to that in a second. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. But y'all know how highly I've spoken of Kanye West on this channel throughout my career on this channel. I want to go ahead and talk about Vultures too, and I want to go ahead and we'll give Killer Mike his proper praise in a second, and I'm gonna give my critiques on that project as well. But Vultures too, man. I get the experimentation or the nature of experimentation when it comes to an artist like Kanye West. But you know what, man? We've been hearing this whole experimenting thing at least since 2018. At least since the Ye project, maybe a little bit before that. I'm giving grace here and there. I mean, Yeezus was an experiment that went right in many places. And I think that's such a balanced project when it comes to critiques and critics alike. Some people love it. Some people dislike it. So that one is a little bit different. That's kind of like balancing the scale, if you will. Life of Pablo, it has some bangers on it. But ever since Ye, the album Ye, in 2018, and Kids See Ghosts and things like that, Kanye's been kind of predictable. Now, granted, I liked the first Donda, excuse me, but I do think it was too long. I do think that Def Jam probably snatched the album from him and just put out what they had, and I think the one that he put out after the fact was sequenced a lot better. But we got to just state the obvious, and I have to state the obvious. Kanye West is struggling to put together cohesive projects now. That's what it feels like to me. And even though Vultures won, it has some bangers on it too. But it's inconsistent in a lot of places. And I say inconsistent based on the individual we're talking about, right? Kanye West has always, Ye, has always been the kind of artist that you could trust, knew how to put together and sequence a project, knew how to produce a project, knew how to deliver a message, knew how to tell a story musically. And I think the experimentation at this point is becoming a cop-out. And I hope that he still has it in him to make a great album. But to be perfectly honest, as a fan of hip-hop and as a fan of music in general, I don't know if I have much faith in that right now. And I'm not saying it has to be a rap album. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. Thumbs up in the chat. I'm giving some real talk right now. I don't know if it needs to be a rap album per se, and it doesn't have to be. We're talking about music in general. And like I was telling Ron earlier, when I got on the call with him, he's talking about the album and kind of pre-gaming for the show. Even if we're not talking about the hip hop genre, this stuff doesn't have a lot of replay value. And to be honest with you, the first Vultures, a couple of songs had some replay value, but for the most part, it's been kind of predictable. And the only song that I really go back to on Donda is Praise God. There's a couple other songs on there that might get a little bit of replay burn from me. But when we talk about an artist like Kanye, man, or in a career like his, we have to acknowledge that this is a bit of a drop off. And again, I still think he's one of the most talented, if not the most overall talented artists we've had in hip hop. But if he's going to be active, and he's going to be active musically, you want people to be active musically on a high level. And even if it's not the highest level, like a My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I mean, can we see some resemblance of this? And this, again, makes you feel like somebody like Nas is in rare air, because he's been able to give us quality projects and quality writing and experimental things in the latter parts of his career, to the point where you can really enjoy it and it doesn't feel like this is an artist that is washed, for lack of a better term. There was a meme going around where they had a picture of Sean Kemp on the Magic, and they said this is Vultures too. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of feels like that, for the people who understand what this individual can do musically. And I was one to say that when Kanye drops an album, it stops everything, and it could have done that here, but the music's just not strong enough. And right now, it does feel like this artist, one of our greatest artists of the past, decade or two, just ain't got it in him anymore musically. Now, I hope that I'm wrong. But what else do we really, really need to see here? You got Vultures, you got Vultures 2, you got Donda 2. As much as I like some of the records on the first Donda, Jail is dope. Praise God is dope. But we got to factor into, it took him a good 3-4 years to even put Donda out. And then these unfinished projects and things like that, like this has been going on since the life of Pablo. And I don't know what's going on in Ye's head. I don't know if his focus is not on music, 100% like it once was, even though I think even when he was making some of his greatest stuff, he was still juggling the fashion world and juggling a label and juggling, making music and juggling producing at the same time. So I don't even know if that's a viable excuse. We all meet that day where, you fall off a cliff and you got to go back and really reinvent yourself and really see what you need to do to bring things back to the level they need to be at. Man, Max with the super chat says, he was never one of our greatest artists, though. Was he not? I mean, so you're telling me when he dropped The College Dropout and then dropped Late Registration and produced B that same year and had production all over the place and was one of the best artists in the game, putting out Graduation and then later on putting out My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, changing the game with 808s and Heartbreaks, you got to give credit where credit's due. There's nobody on both sides of the board, like you said, triple, double, no assists. Like, there's nobody that got on the mic as an artist and got behind the boards as a producer and had the level of success that he had on a critical and on a commercial level. So I hear you, Mad Max, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Now, am I sitting here saying that if you throw Kanye West in a cypher, he's going to out-rap Mos Def or something? No, not saying that. But if you look at the catalog, you look at it album for album, there's not a lot of guys with a better catalog than him as an artist, as an individual artist himself. And then you throw in him as a producer. I mean, just from a production standpoint, he's more than likely a top 5 hip-hop producer all time. So that's not even counting his artistry. So yeah, I think you're kind of off base with that one. We got to check the discography, but has been a minute. Got to keep it a buck. Man Max says pop rap albums, Ye don't make real hip hop. Ye don't make real hip hop. So you don't think College Dropout was real hip hop? You don't think Late Registration was real hip hop? You don't think that So Appalled on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was real hip hop? What is real hip hop if we're gonna sit here and peel that layer back? Was Killer Mike's album real hip hop? I don't understand. What does that mean, Mad Max? But saying all that to say, real hip hop. Mad Max got another super chat. He says, "Ye is Dre and Puff. Stop it." Ye is Dre and Puff. Stop it. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I will say this. The most recent efforts from Ye, this isn't hip hop. This isn't really, I don't know if it's world music. I don't know if it's just tribal music, if you will. But when I hear it, it's not something that makes me want to go back to it. Now, I will say that the album started off really strong. The first song was really dope, but then it kind of gets into those lost moments. Now, I do think that this is made for the stage and made for performance, and maybe the performance is going to enhance the way I feel about these records, but I never had to feel that way when it came to Kanye West's music. It never had to be one of those things where it's like, okay, well, wait till you see it on stage. It never had to be all of these individual caveats. And of course, yeah, he's going to still do numbers. I mean, that is what it is. He's one of the most famous artists in the history of hip hop, and he has one of the strongest fan base in hip hop as well. He's one of those guys that could go out there and, throw paint on the canvas and people will swear to you that it is art in a different level and different meanings. And it can be. Not saying that is not true, but at the same time, as a person who sits here and goes through these albums and actually tries to rate them and rank them with the best that has happened throughout the year, it's just not at that level. It's not at that level where I feel like it is one of the top albums this year in hip hop or in just in music in general. Mad Max of the Super Chat says College Dropout was a pop church beat. College Dropout was pop church beats. No, you hating now, Mad Max. Come on now. Let's keep it a buck. College Dropout's a classic. And I'll say this about the College Dropout. It's one of those special albums from a special artist. In a similar way as Reasonable Doubt, right? Where everything that this artist was telling you was about to happen and it had happened, it ended up happening for them moving forward. It's a very ambitious effort. It's a very raw effort. It's a very real effort. And I think what can't be discounted, regardless of where Kanye is in his career right now, what can't be discounted is the fact that he went out there on a mainstream level and made not having street credibility in hip hop a thing. He made it where it was like you could go out there and be yourself with your real name. You know what I'm saying? Like Kanye West, he wasn't, Killer Clan West or nothing like that. He went out there wearing the stuff that he wore. He didn't throw on a throwback jersey or whatever was cool at the time. He had his backpack. He wasn't talking about busting gun. He wasn't talking about any of those things. And when you look at this the documentary that they did on Netflix, Genius, he was hell-bent on the fact that I'm not changing what I'm doing. I have to make it in this way. And the fact that he was a producer, it gave him the leverage that other artists in hip-hop didn't have. A lot of artists who was trying to get signed back then they had to conform to what the industry needed a rapper to be because they had to eat. They had to get signed. They needed that royalty check. They needed that advance check from the label. Whereas Kanye was selling like, beats for like 50K or whatever he was saying in that documentary. And he was able to stand his ground and make The College Dropout. The College Dropout is special because no other artist at the time coming out with their debut project had the leverage to even make an album like that. Man Max with the super chat says, comparing College Dropout to Reasonable Doubt is wild. Is it? Actually, it's more of a game changer than Reasonable Doubt, to be honest. Reasonable Doubt is a great album. And I think lyrically, Jay's somewhere else on there. You can't even compare where Jay is lyrically to where Kanye West is lyrically on College Dropout. But Reasonable Doubt didn't really change anything. It kind of piggybacked off of what was going on from Only Built for Cuban Links, what Ray and Ghost said. They set the roadmap for that, Bossellini type of mafioso rap. And Jay just went out there and put his twist on it from a boss level. But no one else really, followed that after 96. Hip hop kind of went its own way. And then, went Shiny Suit. And then, DMX came in 98. When Kanye came with The College Dropout, things changed, and when he went out there and went head to head with 50 Cent on Graduation, that's probably what you're salty about, Mad Max, because he went head to head with a New York Titan, your guy 50, one of the greatest ever in his era as well, and he beat him. And after he beat him, you got Kanye West to thank for opening up a lane for people like J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Big Sean, directly and indirectly. Like this persona and this personality made these things happen. Ye's a game changer. It is what it is. And it all starts with The College Dropout. And that statement of The College Dropout, it was a big move. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, Mos Def himself and Ye was rocking polos. Some of that Wu-Tang made popping a decade almost prior, and Ye used Hove's street cred to validate it. If Hove wasn't Hove, Ye would never pop. Yes and no. I do agree with the fact that, Jay-Z being who he is and was at that time really helped to launch, or let's just say crack the door open for somebody like a Kanye West. But the content and the subject matter really didn't go along with what the Rockefeller brand was about. That's why Jay really wasn't sitting there, pushing Ye in the same way that he did Seagor, in the same way that he did PD Crack, or the same way that he did Freeway. It was very different. I think that Kanye as a producer, I think Jay-Z is very important to Kanye West as a producer. And that's what got his name out there. But Kanye West, the MC, I must say this, Talib Kweli and Mos Def, but Talib Kweli specifically, taking Kanye West out on tour with him was very, very pivotal. And people starting to recognize Kanye, the artist. And I think he had all of those worlds working for him. But his approach to The College Dropout, I can't give Jay-Z any credit for that, really. Jay-Z gave him recycled verses on Never Let Me Down. Even though those verses were great, that lets you know how into that person's project he was. He didn't go in there and give Ye no new shit. He gave him the recycled Hobie Baby remix verses. He wasn't in there trying to craft anything for Ye. Ye had to make that himself. Ye had to go out there and fund the Through the Wire verse himself. Even after the car wreck and everything, they wasn't putting anything into him. Now, we can give Dame a lot of credit and Kareem a lot of credit, but, Jay was on his career. Mad Max in the Super Chat says, Kanye influenced the wackest era in hip-hop. Thanks for proving my point, Mike. Mad Max also says, you talk about how the 2010s was so weak, but Ye influenced that era. Him and Eminem and Wayne. So how good were they? Hey, man. So, listen, I'm not sitting here saying that the era that came after them was the greatest, but I will say this. I do think the 2010s was stronger than the mid 2000s. I think the 2010 era had a lot more spark than let's just say the 2002 to 2009, or even the whole first decade. Because from a mainstream standpoint, I felt like the 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s, was pretty dull. It was uneventful outside of somebody like a Kanye West who kind of changed things up a little bit. And yeah, it was kind of searching for an identity. Even when Wayne came around, even when T.I. was at the top of his game, I think each region was kind of doing their thing. New York kind of taking a back seat a little bit, with the exception of 50. But even with 50, he was kind of a global individual as well. So it was a little different. But if you want to say that he ushered in the weakest era, I don't know if I could say he ushered in the weakest era, because I think that somebody like a Kendrick Lamar is special. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too. I think somebody like a J. Cole is very special. I think what Drake has done in his career is unprecedented. And many people will sit here and tell you that this back and forth with Kendrick and Drake ranks as one of the greatest back and forths in hip hop history. What do y'all think? Do y'all agree with that? Mad Max in the super chat says 2002 to 2009 was not Ye's whole era. So again, I'm right. Hey, I guess he was the top guy on there. They said no way. Listen, all right. I don't think that I will say this back and forth with Kendrick and Drake was very different. Very different from what we're used to seeing. The first time we saw something like this in the digital era, I would say. And we got a lot of records. We got them very quickly. Not like us, it's still getting played. It's probably going to end up being one of the highest ranked hip hop diss records of all time. I'm not a huge fan of the record. It is what it is. It's a big hit. I don't even think this back and forth is over. But, we'll see where it transpires from here. But overall, after they talk about the Jay and Nas thing and the Big and Pac thing, what other battle y'all think that the mainstream is going to levy to? They're going to talk about this one. So, these guys are pretty big heavyweights. But from a quality standpoint and from an album making standpoint, I can see that this current era is probably a little bit weaker than the previous era. But I don't know. Kendrick still got those albums. Good Kid, Mad City is in the 2010s. Pepper Butterflies in the 2010s. But you do have Get Rich or Die Trying in the 2000s. So I think that's very, very fair. I will say that the 2000s were kind of held down by some of the elder guards that were in the 90s. But as far as the new talent in the 2000s, you're kind of just left with 50, Ye, T.I., and Wayne was kind of showing up at the end of that. Leroy with the super chat says, Mike, Ye was a multi-platinum artist before people even knew he rapped. Thanks to credits on Jay-Z's album. Of course, Jay is very important to that part of it. But you also have to think about the fact that Kanye had to break out of that whole notion that he was a producer. And at that time, producer rappers had a connotation to them. They were like, yo, you can rap, but we really want to hear you make beats. And the fact that he was able to step out of that shadow of being a producer first and being an artist first, we've never seen that. Pete Rock was always going to be known as a producer first. RZA was even going to be known as a producer first. Q-Tip's a little different because we didn't really know, at least I didn't growing up, how much of a producer he was. We just knew him as the front man of Tribe, but he was known as an artist first, right? So Ye is probably the first hip hop producer to ever really jump out of that shadow and say, you know what? I'm not just a producer, I'm a great artist. And he was able to do that. He did that in spades. So we got to give this man credit for that. He changed the game. Now, this is what I don't like. And this becomes revisionist history. Just because the man's washed right now, he's making some very weak material right now, and he's been making weak material, let's just be honest, for the past 5 or 6 years, that doesn't mean like his whole career is a wash. And see, that's what I hate. We have recent memories when it comes. we get very selective memories when it comes to this type of stuff. And that's why I think it's very, very important for Kanye to come with an album, some songs, or an EP or something to show people like, yo, just in case you forgot, I still am who I am. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, in 2004, I was in college. Never arrested, no criminal record. Ye made us feel like he was one of us. You cannot be a street dude and and still be cool. You know what, to Jermaine Johnson's point, you're right, especially in the rap game. If you are, let's just say you're a J. Cole, right? Your kid goes to, suburbs somewhat, right? Goes to school, goes to college, and you rap. Your ceiling for being a rapper in this rap game was to be a Mos Def, a Talib, or something who would be labeled as an underground backpack, a little brother, or something like that. Kanye West kind of shattered that glass ceiling and said, yo, the regular guys who didn't catch a bullet, who ain't been in the streets, who didn't sell no weight, who didn't do any of these things can make rap music as well. He gave a voice to a sector of Black life that wasn't really being spoken about on the mainstream level in hip hop for a very long time. Like, you would have to go all the way back to the early 90s with Tribe. Like he said, man, people want a feeling of a Tribe Called Quest. But all they got left is this guy called West, who would take Freeway, put him on tracks with Mos Def. You call him Quali or Quayle. I put him on songs with Jay-Z. I'm the gap like Banana Republic and Old Navy. He bridged that gap between the Jays of the world and between the Black Stars of the world and put these guys on the same tracks and shared fans. And there was for the people who don't remember, there was a bit of a Cold War when it came to like the backpackers and it came to the mainstream rappers back in the late 90s or whatnot. One wouldn't mess with the other, right? Kanye West bridged that gap. Matt Max in the super chat says, Ye is Puff, bro. With an even worse hip hop voice. Listen, are we gonna really talk about Puff, man? I think Puff was, I think Puff's impact is Puff's impact, man. Like, Puff's impact is, I'm not even gonna go there. This show's not even about Puff. But yeah, Ye is Puff. I don't even know what you mean by that, Mad Max. At the end of the day, the man made some great albums. He changed the game. He's continuously changing the game. But musically, he hadn't changed the game in a minute. I think these Vulture projects are cool side projects. But I like him collaborating, I guess, for his own collaborative juices to flow, pause. But he needs to actually go out there and make a Kanye West album. We need that. We need I know he changed his name to Ye. We need a Ye album or Kanye West album where he's in the lab. It's not collaborative heavy and he's doing what he does. Now, if he's done, he's done. But creatives are never really done. And somebody like a Ye, as creative as he is and as innovative as he is, he can't be done. But back to Vultures too. I didn't even really hear too much of Ty Dolla $ign's presence on there either. I don't know, man. It seemed like it was some rushed work. I don't know why they're putting out all these tracks. It was uneventful, to say the least. And I hope that the Ye can come back and redeem himself. But I don't know, man. Even as a fan, I think it might be over. But enough with that. I'm going to talk about Killer Mike's album. Y'all heard Killer Mike's new album? Hold on one second. Let me see what's going on here. Perfect. All right. Let's see. Killer Mike's album here. I want to pull it up on my end. Michael and the Mighty Midnight Revival. Songs for Sinners and Saints. Killer Mike came through, man. The production on here is very dope. I think that Nobody Knows featuring Anthony Hamilton is one of the strongest songs of this year. I don't think that it's album of the year. I still got Common and Pete Rock for that. I want to watch what I'm saying here because I want to be totally respectful and I don't want to come across as a hater or anything like that. I think that Killer Mike fishes for a style. I think that he might not be a solo MC at heart. I think he's great with collaborations. And I love Killer Mike as a person, as a speaker, as a leader out here, right? And I love him. I think that he does great work, does a great job in articulating his points. I think he's a great ambassador, if you will. But when it comes to just straight up mic skills, I don't think that, and I could be wrong here, it's just my opinion. And I know I'm probably going to catch hell for this statement. I don't think he's an elite MC. I think he's more of an elite song maker, or he has a lot of great elements around him to make his songs. But I thought about it when I was listening to this album. I'm like, an elite MC on these tracks, I might feel different about this. Like, he gets his point across. He projects, he comes with the concepts. He does all of these things. And on this project, you kind of heard him doing some braggadocious stuff, talking about his Grammys, talking about his businesses and all of that stuff. I mean, which is awesome. And he does have some elite flows here and there. One of the records that my man Tech Beats produced, his flow on there was crazy, higher level. But I sit here and think, like, for the level of material that he's making or the level of adulation that he's getting, as he should, because his interviews are awesome. Somebody in here said they like his interviews. Of course you do. I mean, he's captivating. He's a very captivating speaker, personality, and he knows his shit. You know what I'm saying? And that is, I mean, that's a hallmark for a great MC under normal circumstances. But I don't know, man. It's something about, I don't know if it just doesn't have the elite skill set, and I could be tripping here, that maybe a T.I. has, or an Ice Cube. I like comparing Killer Mike to Ice Cube. I think that's probably and I think that's his favorite rapper too. I think I remember him saying that at some point. I think that is probably the best comparison for where the way he approaches his material. I would say Ice Cube and Chuck D to a certain extent. But it's something in there, and I don't know if it's the voice or what, but it's something in there to me that is not elite. Because if anybody thinks I'm tripping, where would y'all say that Killer Mike ranks? Let's just say in the South. Let's just say, is Killer Mike a top 10 Southern MC? And if not, why? I think that, me personally, Run the Jewels was great for him because I think that him being in a group is perfect. I think that, as we've said on this show many of times, and on this channel many a times, it's very, very different. It's very different putting out 3 verses than it is bouncing off one verse from another MC or being in a group setting. You could be in a group setting, you could stand out like crazy. You could come through, spit your 16, spit your 24, and contrast with the other MC, and boom, you're the highlight of the record. I think with him and LP, it's perfect for Killer Mike. It's a perfect setting, but when it's time to hit 3 verses from one person, you got to have something extra that pushes that forward, where people don't get bored, where people are continuously following your story and following you and following who you are as an MC. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom here. I think that this is a very, very dope project, and I think it's one of the top 5 projects of this year. But in relation to the Common and Pete Rock album, if we're talking about album of the year stuff, that's when elite MCing kind of comes into play, right? Like, I think the Killer Mike could easily get on a record with Black Thought and stand out, but can he hold down 3 verses and be as captivating as Black Thought is on a record and as elite as Black Thought is on a solo record? I don't think so. I don't think there's an Aquamarine out there. I don't think there's a This Man in Killer Mike's repertoire, even though I do think the record with him and Anthony Hamilton, Nobody Knows, is a very strong record. And I think it's one of the best hip hop songs this year. But again, if there was any knock on this project, I think some of the songs, what song was that? That was Slumber for Junkies. It's 10 minutes long. It's 10 minutes long and it kind of drags, right? And you have those moments, but the moments that are high points on this album are very, very high points. Somebody said Shawty Lowe's better than Killer Mike. Y'all got to stop that. That's not true. I think Killer Mike, do you guys think that, and I want to put this in the chat, you guys think that Killer Mike's better than Jeezy? Because one person does have the skill set, right? But the other person is a lot more captivating than the other, right? Let's see. I want to put this in the chat. Killer Mike, Jeezy. All right, I want to see what people say. But so right now, yes. I mean, listen, I'm talking about overall. And again, we got to ask ourselves, like, why do we feel this way? I think Killer Mike's a dope MC. Now, I will say this. I think that by the time Killer Mike got around Outkast and the Dungeon family, it was able to put out records. I think that they had kind of moved on to a sound that might not have benefited him as much as their previous soundscape would have. Now, I'm glad that Killer Mike has found his soundscape. I think with him and LP connected, that was a perfect connection for him from a production standpoint. And even from, a partner in rhyme type of standpoint, and being able to find his market and his niche. I think that was perfect for him. I think it was probably the best thing that ever happened in his career. And he's kind of riding off of that now and kind of been able to do what he wants to do musically. But I still don't know if I'm hearing elite skill sets here as an MC. Like, you guys got Killer Mike over Jeezy, it looks like. We got 25 votes, 26 votes. Actually, now it's 50-50. Now, what Jeezy is able to do, Jeezy's able to be very believable. He's able to make people, feel him on a different level on the tracks. And he's able to be very grandioso and motivating, if you will. Rick Ross does the same thing, right? To me, I think that 2 Chainz, kind of is able to grab you, with his approach to songs as well. I don't know if I get that for Killer Mike. Now, obviously, people like T.I., and I pair T.I. and Killer Mike up with each other, and I think it's a natural thing because I remember them kind of emerging at similar times. Killer Mike was actually bigger than T.I. When he launched anyway, because, he had the Outkast backing, he had the song Monster, he had Adidas, and T.I. hadn't reached that level at that point. Like, he was kind of the marquee person on Never Scared before Never Scared blew up. But after Never Scared happened, here comes T.I. with trap music. Here comes T.I. with urban legend, songs like You Don't Know Me, Bring 'Em Out. Man, he just kept hitting with bangers, 24s, like, and so we never really got that, from Killer Mike. And I guess my question would be why. But I love the fact that Killer's able to continue on, and he's making music right now that some of his peers that started off faster than him, aren't making right now. But again, it goes back to that whole question of, is this an elite skill set? Am I willing to say that Killer Mike is top 10 in the South just as an MC? Now, his catalog is becoming something else. And I think if he keeps going, his catalog is going to catch up on a lot of people. And I think this project is a top 5 project in 2024 so far. So shout out to Killer Mike for dropping something like that, man. Like he came with it for sure. Super Duper says you can't believe. Listen, what do you mean you can't believe I'm saying this, man? I mean, I think Killer Mike is extremely dope, and I think that my only question is, how long am I going to be listening to these records? And when there's a feature about, is he dominating? I don't love the fact that Big Boy's not on either of these albums. It's not like a whole lot of Dungeon Family presence. I didn't think Scientists and Engineers was, really Dungeon Family presence. That's Andre. It's really not memorable moments from Dre on there. And maybe I'm being super critical because of how, how much I love these guys and how great that I know that they are. But yeah, that's just my opinion on the album. I think the album is dope, though. I think the album's dope. It's possibly top 3 of the year. But yeah, let me know if I'm tripping. Ron, you on the line? Let's see if
I'm on the line, man. I'm on the line. I've been sitting back, listening to you for the last 41 minutes. So where do I start? Can I start? Can I rewind it a little bit? Because
yeah, go ahead.
Now I sent you a text message. I sent you a text message on Friday. What did I send you, Mike? About Kanye.
You said Kanye washed.
And then,
she said.
And then I listened to the album again. And we did a show last night. Shout out to Leroy, the Weekend Rhyme. And I don't say he's not washed. He's just different. He's not the college dropout gay. He's not late registration, graduation, 808s and heartbreaks. He's not Yeezus. He's not the Life of Pablo. He's not My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. He's just different. He's making tribal chant music, stadium music, and that's just what it is. He's never going to give us another.
Is it good though? Let's not. No,
I mean, it's not for me. I like again when I listened to Ice Spice last week. I can't rate it because it's not for me. There's some songs on the album I did like. I did like Sky City. I did like what's that other joint called? It was like the second or third song on the. It started off good. What was the joint? Hold on, I'll tell you what it was.
It's not memorable. I mean,
Field Trip was dope. Fried was dope.
Field Trip's dope. Field
Trip was dope. Fried was dope. My Soul was dope. Sky City. But these are not records I'm going to be listening to every day. You got to be in a vibe to listen to them. So I don't think he's washed. I think Ye is just different. He's not the artist. He'll never. And you said, he got to go back in a lab and create a solo. He's never going to do that. So either he's just going to collab with folks, produce, but that Ye is done.
You know what this is?
Okay, and it's okay.
He is washed, and that's fine, right? You know what this is? This is Grant Hill. Old Ye, quote unquote, is Grant Hill in Detroit. And this right here is Grant Hill with the Suns. That was giving you 7 points a game or whatever. Like he could still go out there and do something, but it's still washed. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he just ain't playing anymore, but it's still washed. I mean, we're not going to change the definition of wash because of who's washed. It's just got to be real about it.
I mean, what you say? If he was, I would say he was washed if he made an album that he was trying to be like the artist of old. If he was trying to be Kanye West back, let's just take it to the Life of Pablo, right? If he was trying to be that and the songs weren't hitting, then I say he's washed. But he's making tribal chant music, so I can't say he's in a new category. So how can I say he's washed?
Well,
if he's not even doing rap music anymore.
Because that doesn't determine if you're washed or not, if you're doing rap music or not. Because the fact that he's not doing rap music, that's fine. But the music that he's making isn't that good, regardless if it's tribal music, regardless if it's chant music. Is it music that you're going to replay?
So did you
I say this respectfully, man. I love Andre 3000, the Dungeon Family, Outkast, all of that, man. I'm not playing that Flute album anymore. I never really did. You know what I'm saying? So
that's okay.
How good is the Flute album really? You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to John Coltrane all the time, whenever I'm chilling, I'm working or whatever. I'm not putting that Flute album on because it's not that good. You know what I'm saying? Like And it's cool you're doing something different, but that doesn't change how the quality of it. So are we going to play this album again?
Let me ask you, before you get to the super chat, let me ask you just one question. I know this is according to hip hop, but your lady likes Beyonce, my lady likes Beyonce. Are they playing this Cowboy Carter? And if they're not playing Cowboy Carter, if they're not playing Renaissance, is Beyonce washed?
I gotta be perfectly honest with you, bro. And Anna likes Beyonce and the idea of Beyonce, but she doesn't really listen to Beyonce's music like that, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So it's like, you can like a person and what they stand for in their performance. And I think that's the strongest thing when it comes to Beyonce. But to answer your question, yes, that could be the case. Even though I think the Cowboy Carter album has some quality material on it. If you ask me which album's better, the Cowboy Carter album or Vultures 2, I'm going Cowboy Carter all day.
Now you sleeping on Vultures 1. Vultures 1 wasn't a bad
Vultures
project.
1 got some stuff on it. But again, I'm holding Kanye to Kanye's standards. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we got to be real about that too. It's like, yeah, it's a good album for a random person, but for Kanye West, is it really that good? It's like when we watch Simone Biles. She's getting compared and rated based on herself and who she is, because she does moves that nobody can accomplish. Nobody can actually pull these moves off. So how do you rate somebody that can do things that nobody else can do? You're rating them up against themselves. When Jay comes out with stuff, we rate what he's doing up against himself. We're not rating it in a vacuum against what Fabulous can do. We're not. And when Ye drops something, we're rating it on what we know he can do. Now, am I wrong for doing? Let me get to this $20 super chat. I want to respect the money. Respect the money. He says, what is it? Deuce Falco, the $20 super chat, showing love. He says it takes time for a lot of people listening to Ye's music. Nobody liked Yeezus when it first came out. And if you listen to The Life of Pablo today, you will understand. I hear that all. But yes, I think that we rate. I mean, is it not fair to rate someone up against what they can do and what their skill set? We do it.
Yeah, but yes, I think it is unfair because people change, artists evolve, or they can even devolve, depending on how you look at it. They can either evolve or devolve. He's a 47-year-old man. He's not going to make another college dropout. He's not living a life of late registration. He's not living a life of graduation. He's not even with his ex-wife with a life of Pablo. He's not living that life. He's on a different trajectory. He got 4 or 5 kids. He's in the fashion. He's got a Yeezus brand. He's making different type of music. So based upon the music that he's making, we can judge it on that. But to hold it to a standard to something he made 15 years ago, I think that's a little off base.
Well,
even with Jay,
holding it to a standard in that way, it's to a quality standard. You know what I mean? Because My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is way different than The College Dropout. But the quality level is where it needs to be. Like, Lost in the World is far removed from spaceships and things like that, but it's a dope song. And from a quality standpoint, that's all I'm judging it by. I'm not expecting him to go out there and make Through the Wire at this point in his career, but you do expect some level of quality. It is what it is. Like, you're not, just because you're saying you're doing something different and your life is different, that doesn't void you from the level of quality that we expect from a certain individual.
Well, I don't expect that quality because he's not making an album. Like,
so you don't expect quality from this.
He's not flying artists to Hawaii. He's not flying Saha and Pete and other producers and John Bryan and my man. He's not getting the whole studios and he's not chopping the music up like that. He's just waking up. What it sounds like to me, he's waking up, loading up his MPC, loading up his MacBook, making me. The songs don't even sound finished. This is like a different type of music. So I don't know what this is, be honest with you. So I can't even rate it. I can't even, I don't expect no quality from him. I don't.
Wow. Well, to not expect quality from one of our most quality driven artists, it's like, well, it is over then. That sounds like he's washed. If you don't expect quality, that's like you sitting here saying, man, for LeBron, I only expect 10 points from him. Oh, he's washed. If you sit there and say, I'm only expecting LeBron in a regular season to get me 10 and 6, he's washed.
But if LeBron go out there next season at 40 years old and give me 15 and 6 and 5 assists, it's okay. It's all right. I can't.
Still washed.
I can't even call him. I just can't say he's washed. I just say he just.
Don't want to say
it's a different stage. It's a different stage of his career, and it's okay.
It's washed, man. Kobe was washed, wasn't he? Respectfully,
no, God bless he's dropped to 60 his last game. He wasn't.
Oh man, he shot like 60 shots, man, and they let him score that 6. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not being disrespectful. I said this when it happened. They let him score that 60. Man.
I define washed. If you go out there, washed is when you go out there and you're trying to compete at a high level and you're not able to do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you just evolving and doing something different, I can't call you washed. You're just doing something different.
So hold on. So you putting out an album, you're getting in the studio, and you're actually putting it on streaming platforms, and you're not trying?
He wasn't getting in the studio, Mike. He recorded stuff in hotel rooms and houses. He wasn't in the studio making this work.
That sounds washed to me.
It sounds like an artist making something different. That's what it sounds like, an artist. And I can't tell an artist, and I don't think anybody should tell an artist how to create their work. We just can't do that. That's just me.
No one's telling anybody how to create their work. Do what you do, but the product of it, it's washed. It's what it is. It's okay. It happens to the best of them. Listen, I'll even admit when Michael Jackson was washed. So, I mean, anybody can get it, man. It's what it is, man. Like, we all reach that point. It happens. But, I mean, I hope that Ye can get out of this what appears to be a washed up state. But, yeah. DJ Bruce Almighty with the super chat says, every time Ron describes washed, it sounds like
Hey, whatever, man. I think y'all not listening to, like my man said, Deuce Falco said earlier, y'all not seeing the vision. Y'all not seeing it, man. Y'all not seeing it.
Listen, man, I know that Ye is a visionary, and he sees things before they happen and is ahead of the curve. But I'm sorry, this just isn't it right now. Was Jordan washed with the Wizards? No.
I'm gonna
have to disagree with that.
He was old and different. That's all.
But you know what? If we're judging him based on who he once was, sure, that's fair. But Jordan had played for the Wizards, changed positions. He was playing the small forward position. He was the GM. He's out there on the court, and he didn't have a great cast. So but he put up all-star numbers, though. I don't think this is all-star numbers. It's just my opinion. People are saying that Jeezy's better than Killer Mike. What do you think about that? With 67 votes, Jeezy has 55% of the vote, and Killer Mike has 45% of the vote. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we talked about this last week. So, Killer Mike is a dope MC, but to your point, Mike, he never really captured any type of summer. Like, you got to look at Jeezy, you look at T.I., you look at 2 Chainz. They captured certain elements in the city. Being in Atlanta and being out and about, you were out and about, you heard their music, resonate in the streets, in the clubs, barbershops, restaurants. Killer Mike never had it like that. So I think he can rap, he can rhyme, he can rap, but I just think he lacks the charisma. Like, you got to think about what makes Jeezy, right? His ad-lib game, right? His mixtape game. Mike ain't really have that, right? So I can understand.
Well, I think Killer Mike has charisma. I'll say that. And I think that's how he's gotten this far, especially in the interview game. I think he captivates people with his speech and the things that he says and the things that he's about. And I think that's a level of charisma, right?
But it's not resonating with the. You don't understand. I'm not.
It doesn't translate on the track, is what you're
You
saying?
understand. It's a different level of charisma what T.I. has, or Jeezy, or even 2 Chainz. There's a certain element that he's not reaching because when we're out and about in the streets, we didn't hear his music like that. You understand what I'm saying? And you
Listen, okay, you're right. But are we kind of holding him to what he used to be as an artist 15, 20 years ago? Whereas, to be honest, he's a little bit more relevant musically than some of those people that we're talking about currently. So is it just his time now?
But it may be, and I hate to do this because Super Duper was like, "Yo, this is album of the year." I did listen to the album. You asked me last week, was I interested in hearing Killer Mike's? Was I excited about it? I wasn't. But his album is dope. It's one of the top albums of the year. I'm gonna give him props where his props is due. But it's just not. I think Killer Mike is just not. He's not. You asked the question earlier, right? Is he top 10 in the South? People in the chat were like, "Hell nah." You know what I'm saying? So he's not thought of like that. So I just don't think, he's on a run. I think this album, I enjoyed this album more than I did Michael.
Me too.
I just don't think he resonates like that. Because if we go on the streets of Atlanta, maybe somebody would say Killer Mike, but people gonna say, Chainz, they're gonna say Jeezy, they're gonna say Scarface, they're gonna see 3 Stacks, they're gonna see Big Boy, they might say Crit. I mean, you might get a whole bunch of, you want to say Juvenile, you want to say Wayne. I heard somebody even say Ludacris. Now I couldn't probably go that far, but
Ludacris is better than Killer Mike.
I don't know if I can go that far.
Look, no, we're not gonna front on Ludacris, man.
I mean, I ain't fronting on Luda. I'm just saying, come on, man.
Ludacris is better than Killer Mike.
He had a bigger career than Mike, but is he a better artist than Mike? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, can Killer Mike make the records that Luda made? Luda made some special records.
When
Southern Hospitality is a banger. What's your
that's a lot on the Neptunes. You know what I'm saying?
He did his thing on Southern Hospitality.
That's 75% Chad and Pharrell.
That's wrong.
Let's keep
you know me, I'm a huge Neptune fan. That's wrong. Luda did his thing on Southern Hospitality.
Let's keep it a buck, man.
And I mean, Roll Out. You don't like Roll Out?
Come on, man. When the last time you played Roll Out, Mike?
Yesterday. It's actually one of my favorite Ludacris records. I will say that. But I mean, Luda's verse on "Welcome to Atlanta" is very memorable. Country Fried, "Blow It Out Your Ass" was hard. Come on, man.
Man, y'all fronting hard in this chat, man. Ain't nobody listening to these records, man.
You are tripping, man. Listen, I think that T.I. is better than Luda, but we're not gonna just throw Luda all the way out there.
I ain't throwing. But I'm not throwing Ludacris all the way out there. But I'm saying Ludacris music didn't age well. I would wager $1,000. Ain't nobody really listening to Ludacris like that. Nobody in this thread in this chat played a Ludacris song today. I send me a screenshot and send me the timestamp. If you played a Ludacris song today on your way to work, picking up your kids from school, working out in the gym, then
I'm sure somebody played "Move." You know what I'm saying? They was in traffic. "Move, bitch, get out the way."
Ain't nobody play this music, man.
Oh no, the fight's out. I'm about to punch your lights out. Get the fuck back. Guard your grill.
Man, this is juvenile music, man. Ain't nobody playing this. This is juvenile.
I mean, all right. So you got Killer Mike over Luda.
Yeah, I got Killer Mike over Luda. No doubt. Ludacris can't make an album.
I think Luda can out. In my personal opinion, I think Killer Mike does have the content. Now, all jokes aside, Killer Mike does have the serious content. He has the deeper content, I would say, over the two. But I just think from MC skills, we're talking about two guys getting there, freestyling, whatever. I think Luda gets that. I think Luda has the ability to make bigger records. I think Luda has the ability to stand out on features more than Killer Mike does. I think that Luda has proven that he can stand out on features from all genres more than Killer Mike does. So I think he's just more versatile. You know what I'm saying? I think what Killer Mike has over Luda is his content, but that's about it. Il Magic with the super chat says Luda can make a Michael album. Killer Mike can't make any Luda album. Y'all think the Ludacris can make the Michael album? Okay. Mad Max says, Killer Mike over Luda. Ron, respectfully, stop. Yeah, man.
I mean, Mad Max, you got a lot of wild takes today, man. First of all, your Kanye West, your Kanye West takes are crazy. They've been crazy for a very long time, and I ain't said nothing on them because I ain't been on the show in a minute. But anyway, without Kanye West, you have no Jay-Z. You talk about Watch the Throne. Kanye carried Jay-Z on Watch the Throne.
Whoa.
He did.
I agree. I've said that.
He did. Without Kanye, there's no Blueprint. Let's keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Kanye did a lot of stuff on Lil Wayne's. He did like 3 or 4 songs on the Carter 3. You know what I'm saying? So let's just keep it real. Without Kanye West, he did The Truth, Beanie Siegel. He did a lot of different joints, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Kanye West is a producer, as an MC, as an artist who became the bigger than life artist in hip hop. You can't tell the story of hip hop without Kanye West or Ye. So let's stop it, man, Max. You stop, bro.
What do you mean praise Kanye? All right. Kanye is as an artist. I don't know what type of hate that people have for Ye, but as an artist, Kanye has shown us that he can make very substantive music. He can make bangers. He can make something like a Gold Digger. He can make something like a Through the Wire. He can make something like a Hey Mama. He can make a Heard Him Say, All Falls Down, Jesus Walks. What do you mean? Kanye and Ludacris aren't even in the same conversation if we're talking about Kanye.
And Michael Brown, you might not be listening properly. I did not say it would be no Jay-Z without Kanye. I was back in 1996, 1997 saying Jay-Z was going to be the biggest rapper in the world, and people in my class laughed at me. They said, "Is that the big lip dude with Foxy Brown?" No, I didn't say that. I said that Kanye West was very integral in Jay-Z's career in the 2000s, and that's just a fact.
Yeah,
that's just a fact.
Max says Hov was Hov before Ye was a thought. Sold $5 million. Off the back of Annie.
Yeah, that's not the argument. What I'm saying is that Kanye played a very integral part in Jay-Z's career in the 2000s, and that's just the truth.
Well, let's look at it, and I've broken this down on this channel before. You look at the blueprint. Actually, you know what? Let's go back a little bit further. Let's look at the Dynasty. The Dynasty was Jay-Z searching for another sound. When you listen back to the Dynasty, you got Rick Rock beats on there. You got the Neptune beats on there. You got Ye on there, right? You got things that sound like the times. You got track masters on there. It's just a collage of sounds where it's like, I'm trying to find the next thing, right? So the Dynasty's all over the place. A few songs that did hit on there, obviously, Give It To Me, but This Can't Be Life. And 1900 Hustle, too, was a big one for that. Shout out to Bink. And so to me, I feel like those tracks and that placement from Kanye, if you will, and Bink, they were setting the tone for what was coming next. And so with the blueprint, everything that Kanye submitted, when you think about Heart of the City, think about Takeover, you think about even a record like Never Change, which was documented, was made a long time ago and belonged to another group that was in Chicago. These are the records that became the foundation of the blueprint, that made the blueprint what it was. And it gave Jay, to a certain degree, a second life. Do you know what an album after the Dynasty would sound like if Ye didn't come and put down the blueprint, no pun intended, for the blueprint? I don't know what the next album would sound like, because Jay was kind of all over the place sonically. So yes, he played a big part in that. Boom, the blueprint. And then the blueprint 2, where he kind of went away from Ye a little bit and tried to get the Timbalands, Neptunes, and all these people back involved. It went awry. The Black Album, it's kind of an anomaly because, it was Jay's last album, quote unquote. So he was able to kind of go out on a grand stand, right? That was the gimmick, if you will, that he was going to retire. I think the Black Album possibly might be his best put together album musically without a lot of holes. So Kanye played his part in there, and, Encore, Lucifer. So I won't give Kanye too much credit for the Black Album. I think all of that goes to Jay, to be perfectly honest. But everything after that, where he didn't have Ye involved, it wasn't a victory. Kingdom Come, that was Dr. Dre. Yep. Then you had American Gangster. That was Puff. I will say American Gangster was a success, right? But he didn't have the hits. It was more of B-sides, songs that Jay would probably consider B-sides. And then you get to the Blueprint 3. Jay got hits again. Who's involved? Yeah. Then you get to Watch the Throne. Who's involved? Yeah. Then when you got Ye not involved, you got Holy Grail. Ye not involved, you got 444. He plays a very integral role in Jay-Z's career in the 2000s. It is what it is. Mad Max in the super chat says, Luda better beat picker, voice flow, lyrics, live performer than Killer Mike. It ain't close. Luda. Mad Max also says, Ye gives Hove a few beats on one album and y'all gas it. It's not just a few beats. Mad Max also says, now the Black Album was an anomaly. Stop it. Hove is Hove. Yeah, you look at Jay's career, the Black Album is different. I think the cohesiveness of the Black Album kind of stands alone, if we're being honest, track for track. Because every Jay-Z album has those dips. Reasonable Doubt's kind of an anomaly as well, because I feel like Reasonable Doubt was recorded over the course of years, right? Sounds like Reasonable Doubt was probably recorded from 94, 95, 96. But that small window of recording time where Jay was coming out with an album every year, the Black Album's different. The Black Album doesn't have the same kind of visible holes that the Blueprint would have, or that the Dynasty has, or Volume 3, or even Volume 2 has. He had a lot of production help on there too. He had some of the greats come in there, and he was able to adjust to it. I think Jay's flow is on a whole different level on the Black Album as well. Black Album's a top 3 Jay-Z album, straight up.
It is, man. It is, man. But just want to say one thing about Killer Mike's album. I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I like Higher Level. That was that's my favorite song on the album. Nobody Knows is dope.
You know, Tech Beats made that.
Tech made that joint.
Yeah, him and some other people on the credits, but yeah, I saw his name on the credits.
Tech made that he made that Born to Rap. He made some stuff on Born to Rap, that Game album.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tech's been in the game for a little bit. He rhymed on the Cannon, didn't he? Or that was his part.
No, that was Juice. Shout out to him too.
Shout out to Juice. He used to on that Don Cannon joint.
Yep. And I know he made some stuff on the Black History Project too. It's funny, man. Like that's why I actually listened to the Black History Project, because it was like, oh, the homie got some beats on here. Let me check it out. And yeah, he made some Asai High Strong and stuff. So shout out to Tech.
Right. But yeah, Killer Mike's album was dope. It's something I'm gonna listen to again. It was my favorite album I listened to over the weekend. Definitely can say it's probably, in album of the year contention. I got to go back and listen to Common and Pete Rock, The Auditorium. Right now, I might have the slight edge. Rhapsody albums up there. The Lupe Fiasco album, Samurai, was pretty dope.
I think Samurai is better than this album, but again, this is me favoring elite MC skills too, and that's where that's when you start to parse hairs. Start thinking about elite MCing, and I know this isn't fair, but I think about people like Ghostface on Supreme Clientele. I think about Redman on Muddy Waters. Like, do you have those abilities, right? Like, even Jay on the Black Album or Reasonable Doubt, and it might not even sound fair, but like Nas on It Was Written in Illmatic, or Nas on King's Disease 3. Like, do you have those elite MC skills? Outkast on Akumanai. And so yes, I would favor Samurai over this album because of Lupe's innate ability to rhyme at the level that he rhymes at.
You know what though? I think The Death of Slim Shady might be better than this though. I think it might be.
Are you serious?
I was joking.
I was gonna say, man. I'm like, damn.
What
did I miss?
I was joking, man. I did
The
see a
Death of Slim
billboard, and
Shady is
I
a
saw
corny album.
a
But I
billboard
will
in
say
Times
this.
Square.
The marketing on The Death of Slim Shady, man, they're going all in. Interscope's the best marketing machine in the music business, possibly in business, period. They rank. They're high. They're up there. So they're doing a great job of marketing this project. And if you haven't heard the project and you just saw the marketing, it'll probably pull you in to listen to it. And even though you probably wouldn't like it, the marketing got me for the Marshall Mathers LP. I mean, I actually bought the album first day.
I think I did. I think I did too. Did we go to the same place and buy 2 copies? Then I buy one.
We weren't together, but we probably bought them at the same time. I know I bought it at Sam Goody out there in Cumberland Mall back then, and
I think I bought mine at Blockbuster Music. My uncle was like, "Man, that stuff is trash, man." I was like, "Nah, Uncle, this the real deal."
Yeah, I don't know how with the lead single, like I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady, that they were able to get me to buy that album. It was really the freestyles and stuff that were floating on the net, and like hearing Eminem rhyming, like the stuff that Cannabis was rhyming, all that, and that I got caught up in that.
I think Amityville, they had leaked Amityville or something. I was like, Amityville was dope, and you know,
I ain't gonna front. I like the way he was rhyming on Amityville. If Eminem rapped like he did on Amityville more often, I'd fuck with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's that rock rap, that Beasties sound almost. It had like that garage snare. It was I like that sound, and he sounded really authentic on that record, and his voice didn't sound whiny like that either. So I give credit where credit's due. Dope appearance on Amityville. What do you think? Oh man, hold on. I gotta put my phone on Do Not Disturb. My bad. What do you think is the best song on The Death of Slim Shady? Did you like any of those records?
Man, I'm ashamed to say, man. I didn't like any of the records, but let me pull up the track list real quick. I want to be fair because
you know what? We don't even have to do that because our viewership goes down when we start talking.
I want to answer the question real quick. I don't want to avoid the question. I want to say real talk what I like.
Okay.
I didn't like much of it. I didn't like any of it, but I did like maybe one song. The song with Jelly Roll.
You like that one? I like Fuel. I thought Fuel was cool.
The song with my man JID was good. Fuel. I'd like Somebody Save Me. I like I think he was talking about his daughter on this one too. A Bad One, maybe. I think so. Mm-hmm. And I like I don't even want to say it because I don't want to put that in the spirit, but it's the name for the devil, Lucifer. I thought the beat was cool on that one. But other than that, the rest of the songs were not good.
What did you think about Pitchfork rating Ice Spice's album 7.6? I think it was a 7.6. And they ranked KD to like a 7.2. What do you think about that?
My thoughts on that, I understand. I understand. That's all I got to say about it. You know, Pitchfork's on the, you know, it's a mainstream media publication. That's in the cycle right now. Ice Spice is in the algorithm. It's in the zeitgeist. It's supposed to move the way it needs to move. So they're gonna have to write it. There's been a lot of bias against Nas for a very long time. Mainstream media is not giving Nas, especially during the Hit Boy run, his proper due. I know you guys talked about it on the show ad nauseum, so I don't want to rehash it, but the mainstream media is not showing Nas love. So from Pitchfork, from even Complex to even Hot 97, even urban, quote unquote, urban media outlets hasn't shown Nas love. So I'm not surprised that he did that. But again, when I talked about the Ice Spice album last week, it's not something for me. It's something for our daughters or, you know, the kids like that. It's just a turn up album that you play in Miami. Girls are playing at bachelorette parties or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I understand for what it is. Maybe that's what they rated it as. But you know, Nas has always been hated on. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like why, but I guess there's layers to why. And I guess he didn't play the game in the way that others are playing the game and have played the game. Not saying that Ice Spice is out here playing the game. I do agree that many of these publications get caught in the algorithm and they want to do things that are shocking. They want to put out these shocking lists. They want to actually do album reviews that they know are going to track. And she has fans that are out there that are looking at the internet, and they're probably trying to pull in some of her fans by giving her a favorable rating in that way. I'm not saying that her album isn't deserving of a rating, but you have to be cognizant of what you gave other projects when you're rating some other projects. There's no planet that Ice Spice's album respectfully should have a higher rating than KD3. And for the people who are saying where are the singles, I think Get Light is a quality single. I think that if we were in an era where television still ran the gambit and radio still ran the gambit, and Nas was putting out albums that were under the major label moniker, I think that songs like Get Light would have a music video and you would hear them 20 times a day or whatnot in rotation. I believe that record has that ability to do that. So I think the notion that Nas doesn't have singles, I think is a moot point. I think it really aren't outlets for quote unquote adult contemporary hip hop artists. And I think that really is the missing link. I don't understand why, and I was talking to Rambe about this. I don't understand why commercial radios, which is a dinosaur in itself, why are they still trying to cater to the young? The young don't even listen to commercial radio like that. If anything, you need to find a way to embrace the new music that some of the elder statesmen are making. Because let's be honest, man, Hot 97 as a brand and as a legacy, if you will, we know about Hot 97 based on what they did yesteryear. They haven't broken any artists in the past 15, 20 years. So what you need to be doing is go out here and embrace the music that people like, Pete Rock and Common are making, or that Havoc is making, that Nas is making. These are the people that made your station what it is, because it ain't none of the new people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the internet, TikTok and IG and Facebook and YouTube, they're breaking the new artists. So there's really no point
DJ
in really
Academics breaking artists. Hot 97's not.
Right. So there was an interesting conversation between I saw an article on Hip Hop DX over the weekend. Q-Tip weighed in on what Ninth Wonder said, right? Ninth Wonder is arguing that it should be an adult contemporary hip hop category. Q-Tip pushed back and said he didn't think that should be the case. He said we need to keep it all under one umbrella. What do you think about that? But he'd also said if they were going to make an additional category, it should be called traditional hip hop, where the older artists would fall under that brand. What do you think about the subgenres and creating a new category called either adult contemporary or traditional hip hop?
I see both of their points. Q-Tip is an innovator and he doesn't want to be put in a box. He doesn't want to be put in this old nigga box where it's like, I only can make this type of stuff. It's kind of like gospel artists, right? Gospel artists get put in a box where it's like, you know what, you can only make this. And if you step outside of this, we're not rocking with this. And I think that is a dangerous point when you say that, okay, these guys are making adult contemporary real hip hop. If you try to do something that is outside of that lane, it's going to get shunned by, those said fans. So I get where Q-Tip's coming from on that standpoint, but I also feel where Ninth Wonder's coming from in the sense where there has to be an arena where the elder statesmen can make the music that they make and not have to feel like they have to compete with the young, whether that be the flows that are going on with some of the younger artists. And if they do it, fine, you do it, you're just playing around with it. But I think when you start putting people in that box to say, okay, this is adult contemporary hip hop, people are going to expect this is my 90s style of hip hop. And if you make anything outside of that style, it's not going to be accepted. So I feel where Q-Tip's probably coming from in that standpoint. But Ninth Wonder's right. There needs to be an arena where if Black Thought's coming out with a project, it's going to get some play. There needs to be an arena where if KD3 comes out, it's going to get some play. I remember we were growing up, these adult contemporary R&B stations, they wouldn't just play the Isley Brothers old stuff. They would play the new stuff that the Isley Brothers were making too. Hip hop doesn't have that. Hip hop doesn't have that lane where, you know, these quote unquote old school radio stations are going to play Gin and Juice and a new Snoop Dogg record. They're not going to do that. And so that leaves the elder statesmen out here who are making new music. They have two choices: either make music that's not going to get played, or make music that sounds like what the kids are doing and sound inauthentic and get some sort of play. So there has to be both. But I see where Q-Tip's coming from an artist standpoint. I think Ninth Wonder's speaking from a person that's on the Grammy board standpoint.
Right, but it's just it's an interesting conversation because it's a conundrum because kids are not listening to the radio. Like exactly. you made a point earlier. So really the radio is obsolete. It's really just, I guess, YouTube, IG, TikTok, Facebook, those are the new program directors, right? So kids are getting their music off the internet and getting it through shorts and snippets. That's why the songs are so short. So I guess the only thing that we can do is like create platforms like I guess the new radio is like Drink Champs or Sway in the Morning or even our own network, according to hip hop. That'll be the way that these old school or legacy traditional hip hop acts can get their music out. You know what I'm saying? Mad Hoffa, where Q-Tip can go sit down and give them an interview, or Club Shay Shay. So that's kind of the new element because radio's done. I don't think that the newer artists in the TikTok algorithm, they're not going to be in the algorithm, the OGs. So I just think we got to look at some new ways to help these our legacy acts kind of break through because radio ain't gonna help.
What's also happened, you mentioned some of these other, podcasts, and I think people do a great job and they do what they do. But what these interviews turn into is telling old stories as opposed to talking about the new album, right? I think if some of these platforms were able to just focus on the music, like we're seeing these LL Cool J interviews, which are dope interviews. I think Charlamagne did a great job. I gotta finish the one that Shannon Sharp did with LL Cool J. But they start talking about old stuff as opposed to talking about the new music. And I do think that there needs to be some reintroduction when it comes to certain artists because they're not as active as they once were. But it turns into being more about talking about 20, 30 years ago as opposed to talking about the music that's being created right now. And I'll give LL credit. He continues to try to turn them around and be like, look, let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the new stuff. But I think that's what some of these platforms have kind of leaned into because what we're doing now in these spaces is we're interviewing people who don't even have music anywhere new in sight, and they're talking about old stories and talking about what happened back then, and it kind of turns into gossip in a certain sense. But I think that the elder statesmen need platforms that are going to talk about the new music for the new music to matter in that way.
Hey, Mike, not to cut you off. You know who started this? When I think about like the Drink Champs and all these old stories being told, you know who started this? He don't get the props for it. He was ahead of his time. Just guess what I'm gonna say. Guess who started these the OG rappers telling stories? I remember that. About 10, 12, 15 years ago, I started seeing it on YouTube. He was the first one to start getting rappers up there telling old stories.
GGN, Snoop Dogg?
No, it was Funk Flex. It was the one that used to go.
Flex. I was gonna say,
It was Flex. Because Flex was on Hot 97. He was to do he brought up like Joe up there one time. I think he had maybe 50, and like all his stuff was like he was talking about the old stories. You know what I'm saying? It was
people
Flex.
saying Doggy Diamonds. Yeah. Rob Stark with the super chat says number one album this year while being blackballed is Carnival. Top 5 song this year. It's criminal how y'all underrate Donda. I like Donda. Now, I was gonna say Comeback Jack. Shout out to everybody in the chat that said that. I was gonna say Combat Jack was the person that kind of took those kind of podcasts, and rest in peace to him, kind of did that early on. Combat Jack was the first person I heard interview Tariq Nasheed too. Kind of discovered him through Combat Jack too. So I don't know. It could be Flex. It could be
Angie.
Combat
I see somebody saying Angie was one telling them old stories. Because I remember they used to put it out there. It was on YouTube, like back 15 years ago. YouTube was kind of getting started out. Those stories used to pop up on my timeline. It was Flex, it was Angie, Combat Jack too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My man Taxstone was telling those stories. But it was interesting. And then the podcast formula as we know it, you got to give Joe Budden he was ahead of his time.
Oh, for sure. No, Joe Budden is a pioneer in that light. But yeah, I think that what has happened though with these platforms being what they are, and I think it's great that we were able to get these stories from our classic artists, but now it's become more about the old stories and sit down and talk about those as opposed to talking about new music. And if we can kind of turn those things around where those platforms can be promotional tools for our classic artists making new music, I think that they have a really good platform to utilize. Juan Epstein too. Juan Epstein was one of those platforms as well. Now, are we going to get on Rumble and play some music?
We're having some technical difficulties with Rumble at the moment. The Rumble.
We're going to play To Pimp a Butterfly, right?
The Rumble feed is saying is in an error. So let's just stay on here for a little bit longer while I try to fix it. And we can talk. Let's intro it, because if we can't fix it, then we'll definitely be on Rumble on Wednesday. But let's preview it up if I can't fix it.
Well, we got to do the Common versus Kendrick Lamar at some point. I mean, I was thinking that we were going to do that at some point today, but we can give people up for that for next Monday for sure. I was going to say the Infamous and the Kumana, and it's 13 tracks versus 14 tracks, so it's kind of even in that sense. He said To Pimp a Butterfly is awfully boring. Yeah, I don't think people want to sit back and listen to The Pimp a Butterfly like that. And I think it's a brilliant album, in my personal opinion. People saying Kendrick is boring. Wow.
So explain that, Mike. So when you say it's a brilliant, because I've known you for a very long time. When you say
it's a brilliant piece of work, I think
brilliant. When you say it's a brilliant album, why? How is it so brilliant?
I think the way it was put together. I think musically it's brilliant. I think that sonically, I mean, it plays like it reads or plays like a staged play. Now, that's one thing that we'll say about Kendrick Lamar's pieces when it comes to his albums. They come together like they could be put on stage. And we could even say that about Mr. Morale. But To Pimp a Butterfly, to me, I think sonically he took himself to the next level. Subject matter-wise, I think that lyrically, flow-wise, like, it's pretty much flawless from that aspect. When you have songs like How Much a Dollar Costs, you got songs like Mortal Man, then you have a song like All Right. Even though All Right kind of got bigger after the fact, he's spitting on there. Like there's not a moment on that album that he's not spitting. And when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly for the first time, I was like, he separated himself from his peers, not just, the Coles, Drakes of the world or whatever he was being compared to at that time, but even his own crew. Like, I was like, okay, this is the album where he's kind of catapulted himself to something else. I think one of the weaker moments on the album is King Kunta, and that was the single. Mama's an incredible song. You ain't gotta lie to kick it. Like Mama said, I think the fact that they put the live version of I on there as opposed to the single studio version was brilliant. I thought Complexion was a dope addition on there. Shout out to Rhapsody and Pete Rock being on that. How Much a Dollar Cost is what it is. Hood Politics. That's him just spitting. Like, it gives you everything. All Right, of course. The only moment I didn't love on there was You. I thought These Walls was brilliant. It was funny when Damn came out. Everybody was talking about how great Damn was and this and that. And I was like, yo, he did his thing on Damn. It's a great follow-up to Pimp a Butterfly. But then I heard These Walls in the mix on Abstract Radio, Q-Tip show on Apple Music. And I was like, oh yeah, this album is a different level. It's better produced. It's better put together. I think from a bar standpoint, he's a better MC on there. And Institutionalized, For Free, Wesley's Theory, yeah, it's pretty much flawless. You is one of the only moments on that album I don't like, but I can't say it's whack. It's just something that I ain't feeling. You know what I'm saying? And To Pimp a Butterfly is a great album. And like I said, when I heard it for the first time, I was like, this is the best hip-hop album I heard since Supreme Clientele. And I'm not even a huge Kendrick fan like that.
That's absolutely insane. That
it's
you said
not insane.
That album.
I'm going through the album now. Hold on.
Hey, I fixed the Rumble, so we'll be able to jump over there at 8:00.
Really? Let's jump over there now.
We got 15 minutes for the stream starts. I gotta configure.
No, let's jump on there now since we're sitting here talking about this album.
Something's going on with it's got for 14 minutes. It's like a time.
Okay, no. That's cool. I'm just saying. Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna play this album, or you want to do the Infamous versus Akumenai?
You know what? I want
to know what the people want.
I want to play that album. I want to play that album to Pimp a Butterfly. You know what I want to do? I want to play Food and Liquor against it. And I want the people to tell me that the Pimp a Butterfly is better than Food and Liquor. That's what I wanted. Or the Cool. I'll do the Cool. I'll do the Cool. Let me do the Cool. How
many tracks is the Cool? Because we're going. All right, let's see. The Cool. I'm
just gonna say it real quick. It's whack. Pimp a Butterfly is not a good album. That's just me.
Not whack. It's not whack at all.
When the last time you played it? What's the last time you played it, Mike?
I don't play it all the time because it's one of those albums where it's like, if you play one song, you got to play all of them.
When the last time you played Supreme Clientele, Mike?
Well, I play Supreme Clientele all the time.
Okay, then you rest my case.
But
hey, before we go,
Ghostface is a superhero, man.
Before we go, whatchamacallit was really wanted to say something really quick. Super duper did not like our take. I didn't like your take. I think he liked my take on the Killer Mike. So we'll end it on that, and then we'll go to the Rumble. Super. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on.
Are we really doing the Cool? I mean, do people really want to see the Cool?
I want to expose this whack album tonight. So I need something.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. How about we do this? Let's let people know how to actually get on Rumble. First of all, right now, if you guys have the Rumble app, or if you're on your computer, however you're doing this, look up According to Hip Hop on Rumble and follow According to Hip Hop on Rumble. And say, I don't have Rumble. Rumble's a website. Are you guys on your computers, or are you on your phones?
And I know Michael Brown, you be on my case a lot, bro. You say I'm the king of half takes. I take that, whether it's a whole take or a half take. Pimp a Butterfly, I'll say it again, in English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, is a whack album. Sorry.
The Rumble link is actually in our community section, but we'll throw it up in the chat too. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm gonna throw up the Rumble link in the chat, and you guys can follow that. Let's see. Yeah, because we gotta play some music. I'm gonna do the cool against them. You don't want to do that, man. I'm telling you, man. Like,
well, you pick one. You pick anything. You pick something. You pick it, Mike.
No. If you feel comfortable doing that, go for it. I mean, if you want to do Forest Hill Drive, you feel comfortable doing that? Man, I'm just saying. I mean, I'll tell you this, man.
Yeah, I'll do Forest Hill Drive.
Pimp a Butterfly is the strongest album.
Hell, how about we do Section 80 versus the Pimp a Butterfly?
Man,
because I think that album is better. I think Damn is better than The Pimp a Butterfly. So I'm not a Kendrick hater. I appreciate some of Kendrick's work, but I just don't think The Pimp a Butterfly is like that. I heard it. I think it's back half of his catalog.
All right, I'm putting the Rumble link in the chat right now. I'll pin it to the top.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, so we can. Do you have the I guess the link to that broadcast where people can actually join that?
Yeah, let me get it real quick. Hold on.
I think that'll probably be more advantageous to put in the chat. Let's see.
We're working out the kinks, but you're really confident on this Pimp a Butterfly, an album that you haven't.
I mean, heard. after I just read the track list,
man, I mean, you had to read the track list. It's an album. You
don't I mean, I know it's like that.
You don't even listen to this. You don't even listen to this album, Mike. And you're saying you're telling the people that this album is like that. It's something you don't even listen to. I don't.
They're saying The Pimp a Butterfly is barely better than the Mid-Steppers. Y'all are bugging.
It's the truth.
The Pimp a Butterfly is great, man.
You had to read the track list and you don't even know the records.
No, I do know the records. I was just going through it. I'm like, nah. And then you got records like The Black of the Berry, too. I remember hearing The Black of the Berry on Sirius Radio. I was like, he's about to drop the best album that he's made. And he did. It's Kendrick Lamar's best album, straight up.
Hold on, I'm having a problem. Hold on 1 second. I just want to get Super Duper on for 5 minutes before we go. And I'm going to put the link in here. Something's wrong with my phone.
Put the link in for the broadcast that is about to happen.
Something's wrong with my phone. Damn.
But I don't want to put Kenny's albums against each other. If y'all say these other guys are like that in relation to Kendrick Lamar, let's put their albums up against his. That's how I feel. And if you think The Cool is the one, go for it. I don't think you're going to win that one. If J. Cole's the one, J. Cole's your guy, right?
Yeah, J. Cole's my guy.
His best album?
We're not talking about that right now. We talking about
what's his best album?
Let's not evade the argument here. We're talking about The Pimp a Butterfly. We're not talking about J. Cole right now.
J. Cole's your guy.
The focus is on Kendrick right now. We're not talking about J. Cole.
If To Pimp a Butterfly ain't like that, your guy should have an album better than that, right?
I said I didn't bring up J. Cole. I said we're gonna play The Cool. That's what I said.
J. Cole ain't got a better album than To Pimp a Butterfly. I got you.
Well, I don't know. I think he does. I think he does have an album better. Forest Hills Drive is a better album than To Pimp a Butterfly.
You want to put Forest Hills Drive up against it?
I don't want to do that. I want to do The Cool.
Versus... I see why. I wouldn't want to do that either.
No.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
No, we're not talking about that. You're trying to. You sound a little nervous. You sound a little nervous. You sound a little nervous. I know.
I just wanted to check and see if J. Cole had something. That's all.
No.
I mean, I get it. I wouldn't want to put up Forest Hill Drive against it either. But we can definitely do The Cool. I'm cool with that.
My phone is just
even though The Cool has more songs, The Cool could beat most albums in this era period. Yeah, The Cool's dope, man. But To Pimp a Butterfly is something else, and y'all about to hear it for sure. I mean, are we ready to go?
Hold on 1 second. Super Duper, I put the link in the chat because my phone is broken. So my son dropped my phone 1,000,000 times, so it just doesn't work.
Kids do that, man.
So Super Duper, hit the link, man, so we can just end on your note to Mike real quick, and then we'll jump over and let me get the link to Rumble real quick. Hold on.
Okay. We get the link over to Rumble for people so we can and people are able to still super chat and stuff in Rumble as well, right?
Yep.
And I want to see what people are thinking about these records. You got to be honest. Whether y'all are Kendrick haters or not, man, like To Pimp a Butterfly is that deal. It is. I just hate that the mainstream jumped on To Pimp a Butterfly late. I mean, they slept on it when it came out. They act like it wasn't what it was when it came out, and now they want to say it's Kendrick's best album. It always has been.
Oh, man.
But they did that about Akumanai too, to a certain degree.
Super Duper brother, what's good?
What's really good, fellas? What's happening?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I know you had a take, bro. I know you had a couple takes.
Man, I'm so disappointed in Mike right now.
I'm sorry,
Downplaying your hometown.
I love
Killer
these
Mike,
guys.
man. Listen, I never been a big Killer Mike fan. I didn't like Michael like that. I never been a Killer Mike fan, but I got to give him his flowers, man. That album, the whole album is fire.
It's dope.
It's way better than that Common album. It's way less boring than the Common album. It's less boring than the Rhapsody album. The production on it is fire. I can't believe that you downplaying this album right now. This is clearly album of the year. It's clearly album of the year.
Dope. The song, song development and all that's dope. I just question Killer Mike's elite MC skills. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what shines through on an effort like this, because like I was telling Ron, when I was hearing these tracks, I'm like, man, would I like these tracks even more if there was an elite MC on them?
I mean, but I think that's dirty work right there, man. I mean, why when he dropped this good album, we want to start comparing them to everybody else in the South? This album he's doing everything that we
stuff now. I still think it's top 3 of the year.
If Andre 3000 would have made this album, we'll be saying Andre 3000, he'll earn his place right back. People will be putting them back in their top 5s right now. And like I said, I am not a Killer Mike fan, so don't think I'm standing. But I've been listening to that album. Like I said, I think it's the best album I heard this year. The production is flawless on there. I can't believe that y'all downplaying this. And Killer Mike, 50 years old, and he's doing exactly what we want our rappers to do. We want them to grow, be more introspective, speak on issues that's affecting them in their lives. This album is fire. I don't know what you talking about, man, at all. I can't believe that you're doing Killer Mike like that. Atlanta got another win, man. I think he's gonna win another Grammy for it.
You know what? If he did, man, that would be well deserved. You think it's better than the Common and P-Rock?
I think it's 10 times better than that album, and I like the album, but the Common album is nice. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, it's boring. It's a little boring to me, so it's nothing that I'm really riding in my truck listening to. I got songs on my playlist. I put the whole Killer Mike album on my playlist, and it's the first time I could ever say that about Killer Mike. I was
really surprised though. When I heard it, I instantly was like, I like this better than Michael.
It's definitely better than Michael. Definitely better than Michael. I would say for me right now, it's definitely the best album I heard this year, and it's probably the best album I heard since KD3. Like, I really like the album, and I got to give him the props, man. I got it. I say, to me right now, man, it's an instant classic. I think it's fire. The whole concept of the album, how he, speaking on God and speaking on his issues and talking about grown man issues and things like this. This is exactly what we want from our rappers right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this music is perfect for somebody that's a little older, or it's nothing that the kids gonna be bumping and liking like that. I don't think. But if you like music with substance, this album, I don't see how you don't have this album over the Common album. Well, I don't understand it.
We should go over to Rumble and play this album, man.
Yeah, really.
That's what we should do.
Really. We could skip the 10-minute song, even though I do like it, because that's he's speaking on a lot of issues on there. I mean, man, talking about abortion, and he talking about a lot of things, and it's not in a boring or soft or it's not in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like the production, that's really what got me. The production, every song on there, every beat is fire. He snapped, man. I can't believe you doing this to Killer Mike right now, man. ATL got a win right now, and you trying to downplay it.
I don't want to downplay that, and I think the album's dope. I think what we should do is go on Rumble and play that album. Forget playing Butterfly tonight. Let's play some new music, because a lot of people ain't heard it yet, and we need to listen to this together then.
So let's do it. So I dropped the link in the chat. I dropped the link in the chat. John, Nori, jump over to Rumble, and we'll continue the conversation there.
John.
Hey, and I told y'all, man, UGK Riding Dirty versus the World. We want that album. I'll put that album up against anybody album. Anybody. Maybe except for 36 Chambers and the Infamous. But other than that, I mean, like I said, I told y'all before, man, for me, it's a top 5 classic. It's one of the best albums front to back that ever came out to me. So that's all I got to say. I'll see y'all over there on Rumble.
No doubt, brother.
Let's do it.
All right, peace.